Hello everybody and welcome to the Publishing Performance Show. Today I'm really excited to be joined by Gillian Harvey, who is an author of romantic books, mostly set in France. Now, in this episode, we're going to be talking all about Gillian's inspirations, how she does her marketing for her books, how she's gained so many followers and so many sales through Amazon and all different types of sales channels. She's a really, really successful author in this category. So if you are interested in writing romantic books or just learning all about how someone in the romance genre might be selling lots and lots of copies of their books, it's an unbelievable amount of copies of books, then this is going to be the show for you. Hi everyone and welcome to the Publishing Performance Show. I'm here with Gillian Harvey, who's a writer and an author of 8 books, and actually she's got her 9th book coming out next week. So welcome to the call, Gillian.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming. So what's your book that's coming out?
So my book is called The Little Provence Bookshop, and it's all about a woman who's kind of searching for her real family and finds a little bit more than she bargained for when she comes to work at a bookshop in Provence. So there's a little bit of mystery, a little bit of humour, a little bit of love, and hopefully something for everyone.
Amazing. Are all your books sort of based on France?
My first 2 novels weren't. They were both set in the UK. And then I wrote The Year in the French Farmhouse. That was the first one I'd set in France because I was determined to not set a book in France until I had a reason to. I didn't just want to do it as a gimmick. So I just happened to think of a story where a woman who was on eBay and had a little few too many glasses of wine accidentally bought a house. I'd actually spoken to someone who'd done something a bit similar. So I guess that sparked the idea off. And I don't know about you, but I've made a few accidental purchases and things on eBay in the past, or thought I was bidding for one thing and found something else entirely. So I thought it was a great idea where she could almost be plunged into this French adventure with no planning. And I loved that. So that's when that started. And the publishers want me to stay in France for a little while. We'll see what happens in the future. So
Brilliant. I'm very much a drunk eBayer. The other day, a load of beer mats arrived at my home, which looks pretty cool, and I wasn't really sure where they'd come from. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I've never bought anything as big as a house, but
no, but there's always time.
Yeah. I've always got one of those dreams of buying one of those small like huts in the mountains, so you can just go and like live there every so often. That'd be great.
Oh wow, yeah, that's really good.
Did you always want to be a writer?
Yeah, I really wanted to be a writer ever since I could remember. I specifically remember being about 5 and being very, very set on the idea of being an author. And I was writing short stories, and probably my first book started when I was about kind of 15, 16, but it never became a full-length book. But I was working towards that. But I think when you want to do something in the creative industry, there's lots and lots of well-meaning people around you who love you and believe in you, but don't actually think you're going to get anywhere or be able to support yourself being a writer or being a singer or whatever it is you want to do. So there's always a lot of voices that say, yeah, but what's your backup plan? What is your career? What are you going to do? How are you going to make money? And I think I ended up becoming a teacher, which was fine, and I enjoyed until it exhausted me too much. But the writer, that was always my dream, and it felt like something I would never achieve, but obviously I managed to in the end.
Yeah. So were you a teacher before you became an author? Was that your only job, or did you do another job as well?
Well, when I left, I had a bit of a meandering route. I left school at 16, mainly because I just did not enjoy my time at school because of the school itself. I think it wasn't a very nice school. There was some people that weren't very nice, and I'd had enough really. When I could leave, I wanted to leave. I got a job in a little office as an office junior, but then I went back to do my A-levels at evening class and worked in London for a bit after that, and then went to university. So I did some work as a legal secretary in London, and it was great because it meant when I was at uni I could do my holiday work and get well paid for it and pay off my overdraft. And it's also given me a lot of things to draw on when I'm actually writing. I have commuted, I have done different jobs in different places. I now look at that period of my life as being research for my writing career. So it was never wasted.
Yeah, definitely. There was an amazing, I think there's a really good quote by Ricky Gervais when he was talking about how he wrote The Office, and he was basically like, because he started so late in life, it was like I could only have written it at this point because that it's all my experiences up to now when I could have done
Yeah,
it. So you're right, you
absolutely. Yeah,
can't have those extra parts where it's like you haven't done the commuting. If you don't know what it's like, if you haven't been on the tube, how can you write about that? So
that's
I
it.
can totally
Yeah,
see what you're
yeah.
saying.
So,
So your books, The Year at the French Farmhouse and the Bordeaux Book Club, they've been
mm.
done amazingly, especially on Amazon. Are they based on your experiences of living in France? Because I know you mentioned you've moved out there.
No, I mean, I think aspects of them, aspects of my experience come into them, obviously, just, but they're all fictionalized. And I think I learnt a lot about when I moved to France because it was very much on a whim, really. We were just trying to find a different way of living, and it wasn't that we loved France particularly. It was close to England and our families, and we found that we could buy property outright because they were very cheap. And we thought, well, why not have an adventure? We really felt like at the time we were on a treadmill where we were too tired to keep running, but we couldn't get off either. So it was a sort of a step off all of that going to France for us. And so I really learned along the way. I learned how to kind of live with myself and sit with myself because we went quite rural. So there weren't all the distractions that you get in a more busy place. And I found that really hard. But then I think it was almost like a fast track to working out who I was and what I wanted. And obviously we had to learn, we took a deep dive really into the deep end we didn't have very much French at all. We didn't really know about how anything worked. And it was kind of, when I look back, we must have been completely mad. But I think if we hadn't just done it, we'd probably never have done it. So maybe going in a bit blinkered was a good thing for us. But yeah, back to the books. It's so characters I've come across and situations, and there's a lot to create humour from as well, in the way that the French see things and the way that the British see things,
Yeah.
and the clashes that can happen in that too. And I think I learnt a lot from French people about what they value more in life, and that comes across, I hope, in my books as well. I think I've learnt a lot from them as well.
Yeah. Do you think there were aspects of France that you would only have been able to put in having been living there?
I think so. I mean, it's you'd certainly need to spend a significant amount of time in the country to come across some of the situations. So if you're on the tourist trail, obviously you might interact with restaurateurs and hoteliers and that sort of thing. But when you start taking on French bureaucracy, it's a whole other game. And you might sometimes face, I don't know, someone official who's very, very strict on language and looks down on your terrible French, or you get the really helpful people. And I think also having, for example, having a meal with some French people, you see and learn a lot about their philosophy on life, which maybe you wouldn't learn just by visiting.
Yeah. Great.
That comes across. I mean, we all laugh, I suppose, a little bit about French and their kind of, they like to take their set hours for the week and they like to have a set lunchtime and all of these things. And then you go there and you think, why are we so blinkered that we think we've got to work harder to be better than people when actually the French have got really strict rules to protect their life? And I think we lose sight of that in the UK sometimes. And yes, they have these 2 hour lunches, but that's amazing, really, isn't it? They sit down,
Yeah.
they have a meal, they talk, they enjoy their food. And definitely we've forgotten how to do that here. And
Yeah, definitely.
that's something I learned or try to learn. I'm still only getting there, really.
It's hard to get over how much useless paperwork there is though living in France. I remember I was
Mm.
there for 6 months and everything's got a random form you've got to fill in for seemingly no reason.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
what we found as well, I mean, when we first moved over, the internet was around. Obviously, it was 2009, but it wasn't what it is now. So there were forums. That was about as close as it got. And there'd always be people going, "Have you completed your D109?" And you'd be like, "What's that? I don't know what
Yeah.
that is." And it's terrifying. Every time someone did it, you constantly felt as if you were getting it wrong. And there seemed to be very much an assumption from the French bureaucrats, I guess, that you would know everything. You'd know what to do in this situation, and why haven't you got this? And so that was kind of scary at first. They do like their admin for sure.
In your books, how do you approach getting the plot together? Do you have a particular method that you follow to getting the plots to follow exactly where you want it to go?
So when I was writing A Year at the French Farmhouse, I would plan a couple of chapters and write them, and then plan the next couple. And it was a good way of moving my character through the journey. But what you find sometimes is when you go back, there's a lot of edits to do, tying things up. And if you're thinking about, I don't know, putting an image of something through the book, then sometimes you have to kind of insert it later on, shoehorn it in. So there are pros and cons with that. I do love writing, and I'm always itching to get started, and that can sometimes be my downfall. But the problem I
Shiny
also
object
had
syndrome.
when yeah, oh, exactly. Yeah. So the problem I also had was when you're first writing a book, you don't know if anyone's ever going to read it beyond chapter 3, because you send off the first 3 chapters to your agent, and if you get accepted by an agent, then they send those first 3 chapters off, etc. And so it's hard to keep motivated in the same way about a whole novel. When you've got a deadline and you know you're expected to produce a novel by that deadline, that does help you to plan it. I think it certainly helped me to know that there was a reason to write the whole thing, and it wasn't just my kind of whim or dream or anything. So I began to plan, and I think I do find it a lot easier. I keep my plans quite loose. They often change as I go through, but I like to know, maybe have 40 bullet points, 40 key points that are going to happen in the novel. And I tend to write, when I'm writing a novel, I'll write a chapter a day, because if not, you lose the thread and you have to reread everything you've done, which just makes it really kind of dull and you lose your momentum. So I wouldn't say I plan. Sometimes I see these writers on TikTok or whatever, and they've got post-it notes everywhere and these boards, and that makes my brain hurt or spin or something. I wish I could. I would love to be able to plan like that because it looks amazing, but I'm not like that. So I just kind of hop off these little bullet points, and it seems to work.
Yeah. Do you create like an outline for the whole structure that you want to follow, or do you create like a chart for those bullet points you want to hit, or something like that?
It's more that will be it. I think once I've got those 40 points, I will start writing, and then I'll sort of note around the edge if I need other things to happen within those points. There's still a lot of editing to do at the end, but it means I can sit down in the morning and look at a bullet point and think, okay, this is where they've got to go, this is what's got to happen, and I can create the chapter around that one idea, so it doesn't have to be any more detailed than that. I'm working on my characterization at the moment, really trying to get to know my characters a bit more rather than learn about them as I go along, which is another step I'm hoping will enhance my writing. So I'm always learning. I think that's an important part of being a writer.
Yeah, definitely. It's been interesting having this podcast so far, because I've been speaking to a lot of mostly novel writers, who I've talked about their structure, and some people have really in-depth like charts about what's going to happen when, a bit like that J.K. Rowling poster that you've probably seen, where it's like a spreadsheet, and and some people have just been like, I just start writing and just see what happens.
It amazes
completely
me
different,
because I think I read recently that Hilary Mantel, who wrote Wolf Hall, she was literally someone who just sat down and wrote and saw how it went. And for her to write that way makes me feel that there can be no wrong way to write, because sometimes I thought the more you planned, the more meticulous your brain was, the better the novel, perhaps. But I think it all depends, doesn't it, on who you are and what you're comfortable with, I think.
She must have so much research done before the novel's written to be able to just write like that, because her books are so detailed. So surprising.
Absolutely. I don't think I could ever write historical fiction because I'm just not someone who can deep dive into that kind of research. Maybe that's just because that doesn't particularly interest me. Maybe if it did, I would do so. But I'm always really impressed with historical novels.
Yeah, it's probably my favourite genre overall, I think.
Really? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. If I had to pick just one writer, it'd probably be Robert Harris, probably. But there's lots out there.
Of course, yeah. I was thinking about setting a novel in the 90s at some point, because that's historical now, isn't it? And, I did all my research back then, so the older we get, the easier that is.
Yeah. In your books, you've got quite a lot of funny parts to them, and you add elements of humour. Do you actively do it on purpose, or is it a case of just seeing what the characters you think they would say?
That's interesting, yeah, because I mean, my first published novel wasn't my first novel that I wrote, like a lot of writers, but that was a very much a comedy novel. Everything is fine, and but I never really thought about it being particularly humorous until my editor said it was, and I thought, oh, okay. And I think it's just something that I do. I don't know. As I go through things, I can see the ridiculousness in them, whether that's my own life or a character's life. So I do find it just naturally goes into my books, and then sometimes my editor will say, well, you could dial up the humor a bit here and I'll put a bit more in. But yeah, it's something that seems to just fall naturally. I wrote a kind of thriller type book before I wrote Everything is Fine, and I look back at that and there's comedy in there too. So I think it's just somehow it just seems to come out when I write.
Oh, right. Okay. That's interesting. I spoke to Dave Cohen a couple of weeks ago, and he's a sitcom writer, but he also writes books. And we talked all about adding the comedy characters in, and he sort of plans his comedy characters to be like, this is going to be the funny part, and different parts like that. So a slightly different approach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
You definitely are funny though, because lots of people in the reviews for your book say that they're funny and they laugh along at the parts of the book. So
yeah, it's always nice to read that.
yeah, you've got so many reviews for your book. So you've got Year at the French Farmhouse has got over 11,000 reviews on Amazon. Is that something you've actively been trying to get those reviews, or has it just been naturally through people reading the books?
That's, I would say, 99% naturally through people reading the books. I think we do a lot, like most writers, I'll put the odd thing out on Twitter saying, oh, don't forget to leave a review. But you find that there's some people that will review every book they read and some people don't. And even though I know how important reviews are to writers, I don't find myself leaving them that often myself, because life gets in the way, doesn't it? And you're on the next book, and then but they really are. I think if I was a reader and not a writer and I was leaving reviews, I wouldn't expect that the author would read them, but most of us do. And it does really make a difference to your day sometimes. If you get a really lovely one, it can keep you going sometimes. So it is lovely, and it is lovely to know that people are responding to your book.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely. Well, whatever you're doing is working, because you've got a lot of reviews, more than very successful other authors I've spoken to as well. So whatever you're doing, keep doing that, because it's working.
Excellent.
The reviews are also good for your overall brand online. Do you what sort of work do you do with your own brands in order to promote your books? Just a quick shout out to all the romance authors out there. Now, if you're tired of shouting into the void every time you launch a brand new romance book, then let myromancereads.com do the shouting for you. They have a list of over 18,000 romance readers who love getting books when they're on discounts or on the free promotion. And it goes into their inbox every single day. It's got an amazing open rate, and every promotion gets on average over 600 clicks. That's a lot of new readers for your new series of romance books. So head to myromancereads.com where you can sign up today.
So I think I've done various things, and I think the thing is with books, you never really know which is the thing that worked. But one thing I did find that when I moved to my second publisher, Boldwood, they're very, very active in supporting their authors, not just on the one book, but really in all sorts of different ways. And I think with that behind you, you can use that as a real springboard. So when you do some PR of your own, it has more of an impact. But I do all the things a little bit, and it's something that I'm always struggling with a bit, because I think I sometimes write a social media strategy plan thing, and then after a week I'll just be winging it like usual. And it's a funny beast, social media, because I always feel you've got to try and use it with honesty, and you can't just go, please buy my book all the time, although sometimes you wish you could. And you don't want to be a slave to it. So it's strange. So I wouldn't say I keep my author page on Facebook relatively active, because I think that's where my readers probably are. That's the sort of demographic of my readers. Instagram, I'm not so good at, but it's sort of just not something that's really always appealed to me. I pop things on there. But then we've got TikTok, which I had a great time with for a while, and then ran out of steam a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm a great one for doing much of value online. I think being there is helpful, and I think just sometimes it's those quirky moments where you want to post something silly that get you the most results or really connect you with people.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a nice way. I suppose you've got to use it as much as it's fun, because I think if not, you just feel depressed about it, really, and you think, oh, no one liked my joke, and well, it doesn't really matter, and that kind of thing. I'm really having a wrestle with myself about social media at the moment, because I'm not sure whether I feel, not that it's working for me, but that I've run out of interesting things to say. I've got, I think, a lot of interesting things, but sometimes I go to put something online and I think, oh, I don't know. So I'm basically not very good at it, is my answer. But I did run quite a successful blog once, and I am looking into, just in the back of my mind, I've got Substack, because I'm thinking maybe I can do something a bit more meaningful that gives value to the reader and showcases my writing a bit, but that I enjoy. And that might be a bit more my kind of platform, I think. It's just finding the time to do it and learn about yet another platform and how it works.
Yeah. If you are thinking about doing Substack, there's a really good author I follow called George Mahood, and he's a self-published author.
Okay.
Really, really good. He's really funny. He writes kind of semi-biographical books, but he basically just does this Substack about his life, and every so often you just see like a recipe or a picture of his dog or something, but then also he'll have short stories that he's written, and they're really good. And I think they're a good platform for authors to, firstly make money, but also to make a connection with their customers, or their readers, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, so check out his one. And also Dave Cohen, the person I spoke to just now, he's got a great newsletter as well about comedy. So I think it's a good idea. Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah, it seems like it's got to be more in the writer's comfort zone, hasn't it, than I don't know, posing somewhere near the sea and saying you're reading a book there, or whatever it is you may do, although there's value in that too, obviously. I think also a lot of my promotional stuff, because I started my writing career, my published writing, freelancing, and I still do write short stories for magazines and pieces like that. I tend to write short stories around the time of a release, and they'll tend to put a link to my book at the end of the short story. So that's quite a good way that I'm able to promote myself. And it's somewhere that's in my comfort zone, which always helps.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you do any other marketing for your books as well, or is it all handled mostly by your publishing house? Just a quick shout out to all the romance authors out there. Now, if you're tired of shouting into the void every time you launch a brand new romance book, then let myromancereads.com do the shouting for you. They have a list of over 18,000 romance readers who love getting books when they're on discounts or on the free promotion. And it goes into their inbox every single day. It's got an amazing open rate, and every promotion gets on average over 600 clicks. That's a lot of new readers for your new series of romance books. So head to myromancereads.com where you can sign up today.
It's mostly handled by my publisher, but now I've moved back, because obviously we were talking earlier, I've just moved back to the UK from France, and I did a few online events from France, but it always felt that I wanted to be more in the community, which is probably one of the reasons why I started wanting to live back in the UK again. And I'm connecting, since I've been here, I've done one little bookshop event, and I'm doing something at Waterstones for my next book. And also I've met up with some other authors, Jenny Kerr and Claire Marchant and a couple of others. And there's quite a few. I didn't realise I'm in Norfolk, and there's Norfolk and Suffolk, there's a little cluster of authors.
Right, okay.
And they meet up. So I'm going to hopefully get involved in more events. I'm not naturally an event person, but I want to be. I want to do these things, because I look at people online doing it and you think, oh, that looks fun. I should be doing that part of being an author. So yeah, not so far, but I'm going to be, and I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Yeah. Do the Norfolk and Suffolk groups clash?
No, not that I know of. There's no big fights so far, but it's early days.
Yeah. A lot of the authors I've been speaking to on the podcast have talked about the importance of having that network. Firstly, for like what the reasons you've just said, like making a community, like not loneliness, but making sure there's other people who understand what you're going through, but also it's a
Yeah.
great way to sort of exchange ideas and get those first reviewers and readers, because a lot of writers, they find it hard to get those advanced reviews, so people can give them feedback on their books and they can get those first reviews. So I think it's a really good idea. And there are lots of those groups in the UK and US as well. So I think that's a really good idea.
Definitely.
Are you planning on going to any conferences or anything like that to promote your books, or just to learn?
I'm hoping next year to just attend a few literary festivals. I haven't sort of pinned myself down to any yet, but not really to be in them, but just to go and experience them, see what really goes on and see what bits I enjoy before I commit to actually participating. I haven't got any plans to participate yet, but I'm really looking forward to going. I know a lot of authors go and they meet up with people, because you do tend to get to know people online quite well and think of people as friends, and it's nice to have the opportunity to really properly put a face to a name. So I will try to go to 2 or 3 next year if I can. It can be difficult with the kids and everything to travel too far, but that's the plan at least.
Yeah, nice. So your next book, you mentioned at the beginning, that's coming out next week. So do you want to give us an overview about that book? What was it like to write that book, and then a bit of a summary of the plot and where it's going? Yeah.
So I feel like, I don't know if it's just, I don't know whether I'm deluding myself, but I do feel that I like each book I write more than the last, when I'm writing it at least. And I really enjoyed writing this latest novel because it was slightly different perhaps from some of the other books I've written. It's set in a bookshop, and there's an element of the magical there, and there's an element of a bit of mystery, and there's a little nod to Chocolat by Joanne Harris in there as well. So I had a great time writing it, as much as you can. I still had the 40,000 word breakdown, and which I seem to always have, and where you think, how is this a book and what's going to happen, and then you get over that, and now I know it's coming each time. I can cope with it better. But yeah, so I think it's overall it's got this theme of family, whether we find our family, what makes someone a family member, and the kind of connections as well that we might feel with people who we're related to but maybe meet for the first time, like sometimes when you see them on those programs where they reunite relatives. And I always think, I wonder what that feels like, if you've got that instant recognition, or whether there's something deeper going on. And so the book's all about Adeline, who finds out that she's adopted shortly after her adoptive mum dies. That's when all the truth comes out, and it throws her. And she's at a point in her life where she'd given up work to be a mum's carer towards the end of her mum's illness, and so she's sort of a single mum of a little 5-year-old girl, and she doesn't know what to do next. And what she decides to do, because there's some connection with her birth mother in France, but very little information, is just to go to France and not necessarily find her mother, but to feel a little closeness there and think about what she's going to do next. So it's almost like a running away and a running towards at the same time. And she ends up in this bookshop where there's an owner, Monique, who has certain powers and certain beliefs, and they all get caught up in a kind of mystery where they're all looking for something. And there's a lot about the magic and the power of books, and the way that books can really speak to us from hundreds of years ago and things like that. And well, the rest is obviously in the book, but it was a great book to write. And there's a lot of Emily Dickinson in there as well, which just came in very spontaneously and surprised me because it wasn't on my plan. But yeah, it was great fun, and it was me sort of pushing the boundaries a little bit more of what I write. Well, hopefully it paid off.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm looking forward to that coming out. So I'm sure it sounds like a great book.
Thank you.
Now, if people want to get in touch with you, or they want to follow you, where's the best place for them to do that?
Probably on my Facebook page, which is Gillian Harvey Author. That's where I'm most active. I'm also on Twitter at Jill+5, and you never know, I might pop up on Substack at some point, but not yet. Great.
And are you working on your next book already, or are you taking a break?
I'm working on my next book, which is it's all set in Paris, and there's some scenes in Cambridge as well. So it's a bit of a nod to the fact that I'm back here as well. And it's the novel about, it's a love story with a twist, let's say.
Yeah, great. Well, looking forward to hearing about that too. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time. Just before we go, what's the book that you recommend everyone should be reading at the moment?
Okay, so the book I've been diving into a lot recently myself is a book called Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brodie.
Yes.
This was recommended, you may have probably come across this one. It's really a writer's Bible, and it's been great for me in terms of planning my books and structuring my books. You won't necessarily use it all kind of exactly as it is, but it gives you a lot of idea of the beats that the writer needs to put in for the reader to take them through a story in a really satisfying way. And the cat thing, which always confused me before I actually read the book, is all about the fact that if you've got a character who's unlikable and you want to give them a redeeming feature, it might be that they save the cat, because anyone who might save a cat or an animal can't be all bad, and that's where that comes from. So it's a really great book, and it's very user friendly. So if you're writing your first book, it'd be a real help, I think. So
Brilliant. Yeah, James Blatch recommended that exact same book, so that's two really good recommendations
now.
So yeah,
what an endorsement.
Yeah, exactly. Well, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a great show, and looking forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thank you. It's been lovely speaking to you.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Publishing Performance podcast. I really hope you found today's episode inspiring. I love chatting to authors, writers, and people in the publishing world. Now, just before we wrap up, let me tell you about Publishing Performance, the #1 platform for authors who want to increase Amazon book sales, but are not really sure where to start. Now, this show is all about helping you to sell more books. And if you're looking to boost your publishing game and to maximise your book's potential on Amazon, then Publishing Performance is designed to help authors just like you to grow your readership and to reach a much wider audience. Now, I know that Amazon ads can be slightly complicated, which is why Publishing Performance is like having a personalised ad account manager to create your ad campaigns, to choose your best keywords, and to make adjustments in real time. Now, if you're investing in ads, you really want to make sure that your investment is being used effectively, and Publishing Performance does just that. It aims to make your budget go further, improve your organic rank, and target keywords more effectively. Just go to publishingperformance.com to get started with Amazon ads for just $1. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Publishing Performance Show. I really hope you found today's episode inspiring. I absolutely love chatting to authors, writers, and people in the publishing world. Now, just before we wrap up, I want to tell you about our Publishing Performance Starter Packs. These are curated episodes and collections organised by topic that makes it super easy to find the exact content you're looking for. So whether you're wanting to deep dive into marketing strategies, explore productivity techniques, or focus on any specific area of publishing, we've organised our episodes into targeted playlists just for you. And you can find these all at teddyagsmith.com. And also, whilst you're here, let me tell you about Publishing Performance. It's the #1 platform for authors who want to increase Amazon book sales but aren't really sure where to start. Now, this show is all about helping you to sell more books, and if you're looking to boost your publishing game and to maximise your book's potential on Amazon, then Publishing Performance is designed to help authors just like you to grow your readership and to reach a much wider audience. Now, I know that Amazon ads can be slightly complicated, which is why Publishing Performance is like having a personalised ad account manager to create your ad campaigns for you, to choose your best keywords and to make adjustments in real time and to optimise them over time to save you money and to make more sales. Now, if you're investing in ads, you really want to make sure your investment is being used effectively, and Publishing Performance does just that. It aims to make your budget go further, improve your organic rank, and target keywords more effectively. You can get started with Amazon ads for free for 30 days at publishingperformance.com, and there's a link in the show notes to get that free 30 days trial. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Publishing Performance Show. I really hope you found today's episode inspiring. I absolutely love chatting to authors, writers, and people in the publishing world. Now, just before we wrap up, I want to tell you about our Publishing Performance Starter Packs. These are curated episodes and collections organised by topic that makes it super easy to find the exact content you're looking for. So whether you're wanting to deep dive into marketing strategies, explore productivity techniques, or focus on any specific area of publishing, we've organised our episodes into targeted playlists just for you. and you can find these all at teddyagsmith.com. And also, whilst you're here, let me tell you about Publishing Performance. It's the #1 platform for authors who want to increase Amazon book sales but aren't really sure where to start. Now, this show is all about helping you to sell more books, and if you're looking to boost your publishing game and to maximise your book's potential on Amazon, then Publishing Performance is designed to help authors just like you to grow your readership and to reach a much wider audience. Now, I know that Amazon ads can be slightly complicated, which is why Publishing Performance is like having a personalised ad account manager to create your ad campaigns for you, to choose your best keywords and to make adjustments in real time and to optimise them over time to save you money and to make more sales. Now, if you're investing in ads, you really want to make sure your investment is being used effectively, and Publishing Performance does just that. It aims to make your budget go further, improve your organic rank, and target keywords more effectively. You can get started with Amazon ads for free for 30 days at publishingperformance.com, and there's a link in the show notes to get that free 30 days trial.